Welcome to the bold analysis, ladies and gentlemen. Sabina Chege, who was amongst the ringleaders that plotted the Jubilee Party coup under the lifting of state machinery, has spoken in a very shocking U-turn. And when you listen to what she says, you may want to confuse that, is she the person who was chest thumping as someone that led, someone that was part of Uhuru Kenyatta venom after the general election? Sabina Chege and Kenyan Kega, we repeatedly told Kenyans that were guns for hire. But after getting into that, after making that political blunder, the house has become hot, and it seems people are looking for exit strategy, if not an escape narrative. Their recent statements then have been very contradictory. I wanted to listen to what Sabina Chege said today in respect to what Jubilee Party wants in the face of the bipartisan talks currently going on. Now, what Sabina Chege has said about the one man, one shilling, one vote, and the winner takes all are not new things. Because Uhuru Kenyatta, and if I remember very well, when the former President Uhuru Kenyatta was speaking in the 22nd July NDC that was held around Ngong, he mentioned that he did not have a problem with whoever is going to take over the leadership of Jubilee Party. But as a party, there are things they believed in. And one of them was one man, one shilling, one vote. And the second one was solving the winner takes all. So those were key principles. Those are key issues that Uhuru Kenyatta raised during his reign, especially in his second term. And when the breakaway team from Jubilee Party, the Sabina Chege and Kenyan Kega, because to date I still believe they're the breakaway team, they seem to have contradicted those positions, and they didn't want anything to associate with the former President Uhuru Kenyatta. And that is why we actually ask, what is behind the change of tone? This is coming a week after Kenyan Kega also issued some very reckless, some very funny statement that they will go to court to seek inclusion of Jubilee Party in bipartisan talks. And remember, by that time, the Secretary General of Jubilee Party, Jeremiah Kioni, had already been included to represent the Azimio la Umoja side. So there are only two factions in those talks. There is only Azimio la Umoja and Kenya Kwanza. So if Sabina Chege and the team believe they are in Kenya Kwanza, then they've been represented by Kimani Ichung'wah side. And if by their conscience they believe they're in Azimio la Umoja, they've been represented by Jeremiah Kioni, by the Azimio side. But as things stand, Jeremiah Kioni inclusion into the bipartisan talks was by the virtue of him being a Jubilee Party member. Now, people seems to be regretting that they've missed out in that slot. And I can tell you one of the things happening is that people think there is something going on, watu wanakula mnofu and they're out. So it has nothing to do with party interest, but just individuals who want to get a stake in whatever is going on. Now, very straight question. Why do you think Sabina Chege and the team are changing tone in respect to this Jubilee Party position? Because now, those things they are saying is what Uhuru Kenyatta maintained. And now Sabina Chege and Kenyan Kega seems to be running back to Uhuru Kenyatta's voice in respect to the leadership of the country. Kindly subscribe to our channel, click the notification bell and like our video. Thank you very much for those who support our podcast. I'm just so glad. I realize in Facebook, in Twitter, people who share in WhatsApp groups. I don't take it for granted. And allow me to say a special shout out to Kiplagat Kimei. Yes, Kiplagat Kimei texted me from Netherlands and saying he likes the Bold podcast for bit of it. Asante sana. Calling himself Waziri. Yes, asante sana Waziri. Thank you guys. Now, I want to look at this matter critically. There are some three big, prominent reasons why the Sabina Chege are changing tone and are speaking Uhuru Kenyatta language. And the first one here is the state agenda on Uhuru Kenyatta smear campaign has been detonated by the talks. And just to tell you that Uhuru Kenyatta smear agenda here is Sabina Chege and Kanini Kega were guns for hire. And the guns were for hire was to destabilize Uhuru Kenyatta and to run a smear campaign against Uhuru Kenyatta, because those in government have always held this escape narrative that Uhuru is sponsoring protests. Despite of all the state machinery and everything, no one has ever presented a tangible evidence that Uhuru Kenyatta is sponsoring those protests, apart from making those statements in political rallies. Now, during the recent Mount Kenya tour, these two leaders, Sabina Chege and Kanini Kega, were also part of it. And they realized that William Ruto steered clear of attacking Uhuru Kenyatta. And that was the indication. I remember in Kiambu, Sabina Chege asking William Ruto to be the patron of Jubilee Party. That's number one. Number two, when speaking in Kanini Kega's constituency, Rigathi Gachagua was asking Kanini Kega to join UDA party so that he would leave that. He would leave that Jubilee party. That for him, he should actually join UDA party. Now, Ruto steered clear of attacking Uhuru Kenyatta and spent the 5 days calling Raila all sorts of names. And that was a very direct signal to Sabina Chege and the team that William Ruto and the Kenya Kwanza team were done and dusted with them. Why? The talks that are currently going on are vouching for a ceasefire. And of course, if you look at the shape and the narrative, the discourse that talks has taken, you're not seeing any stake with Uhuru Kenyatta. William Ruto realized that he will not maintain or sustain the lethal attacks against the first family. Remember the attempt to storm Amangina's home? Backlash. The Northland City, there was a national backlash. The gun raid on Jomo Kenyatta, Uhuru Kenyatta's home, there was a total backlash. So William Ruto realized that, look here, this gentleman is a stalwart, is more established. He ni mtu ambao siwezi sukumana nayo. And he decided to drop it. During his recent Mount Kenya tour, if you look at the tone that he set for the recent Mount Kenya tour, he was speaking more of government versus opposition, and to be more specific, William Ruto versus Raila. In fact, Kenya Kwanza team took their contest of Ruto versus Raila. So that is why they have realized that if they were to thrive on running smear campaign against Uhuru Kenyatta, then the state is not part of it. You know, the state is not part of it. Secondly, Sabina Chege and Kanini Kega and the team, they were actually planning to establish a center of power around Rigathi Gachagua. You know, and that is why there was discussion on cross all those in Mount Kenya to cross over to Rigathi Gachagua. But you know, establishing that center of power also needed some unity. It needed to work as a solid block. And what I've realized here is Mount Kenya's supremacy battle is not going to allow for people or other politicians to coalesce around Rigathi Gachagua. Because as we speak, Kindiki seems to be running to the east. Ndindi Nyoro is looking at the Murang'a factor. And Rigathi Gachagua has been contained to a Nyeri space as the Nyeri kingpin. So what they have then realized is that the profile of Rigathi Gachagua, because they only had those two options, is to run smear campaign, then rush and create a home around Rigathi Gachagua. They've realized that that is no longer tenable. The profile has gone down, and even if you want to know, I just give you a very simple indicator. Nowadays, if you watch videos, news stories running with Rigathi Gachagua sound bites, they don't go. Even if Rigathi Gachagua is live somewhere, he doesn't get many views. So these fellows have also realized that it is not going to be tenable because William Ruto, even William Ruto himself, is not allowing these fellows to coalesce around Rigathi Gachagua. Remember the caucusing discussion. Lastly, the people-centered narrative has lacked in Mount Kenya. And if you remember, during the recent Mount Kenya tour, the Sagana meeting, the MPs went there well equipped with information or rather plan to storm the meeting and talk about one man, one shilling, one vote in Mount Kenya. But to their dismay, they realized that one of their sons, David D, was well equipped with a document to debunk the talk of one man, one shilling, one vote. Now, this is what I understand. The Kenyan, the resident in Mount Kenya, may not unpack the one man, one shilling, one vote in terms of the amount they're going to get and who is going to win and who is going to lose. But in the political rally, it is a narrative that gives politicians connection with the people. And the reason why it was dropped, not because it cannot be implemented as David D defended it, but it's because William Ruto wanted to disarm the Mount Kenya politicians of a very lethal contact point with the voters. Because what these voters will do is to sing one man, one shilling, one vote until the next general election. So what these fellows have then picked, they've realized that those around William Ruto have failed to bargain for an identical project that Mount Kenya will carry the bragging rights. And that is why they are picking the one man, one shilling, one vote, because it has been dropped by the UDA side. Ladies and gentlemen, I do think that people are then looking left, right, and center. It's no longer tenable. And that is why my governor, the former my governor, James Orengo, said, government eats its own people. It's not eating Sabina and Kanini. Let's meet in the next. Thank you.